Welcome to The Space Between Time, a podcast to explore and host the phenomena of your brain trauma. Do you experience extrasensory sensations? Does the unknown vibrate around you? Sometimes subtle, sometimes larger than life? With us, you won't have to put away that part of you that is not normal. In the space between time, we invite you to share your un-sharables. Let's explore how your experience has shaped your life. Our goal is for you to know that you are not alone. And so, to begin our podcast, I would like to welcome my good friend Marilyn and guest to our very first session. And to begin, I would like to say a huge thank you to you, my guest and friend. You are the very reason we are here. I know it has not been easy for you to step out of your safety zone, to share the details of your life story. But Marilyn, your greatest wish has now overruled your biggest fear. This is a gift you will share with the world. Here is the space where you can make the difference you have always believed in. Your nightmare will awaken into a beautiful dream to help others from feeling alone, like you do and sometimes still do. I believe that healing and expanding our conscious lives is a lifelong trip, and it is what we are all meant to fulfill. Years ago, I came across a quote that perfectly sums up the beginning of our story and why we have arrived to now. It's by the Bohemian Austrian poet-novelist Rainer Maria Rilke, born in 1875. He says, "The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us long before it happens." I'll do that again. The future enters into us in order to transform itself in us long before it happens. Some have described Rilke's work as inherently mystical. This perfectly explains why I am so attracted to his mind. It was 20 years ago that our futures met. They entered into our lives when you and I were brought together through the mystical channels of an angel card reader and the universe. We will share more of that part of our story as it unfolds with time. So here we go. Let's do this together. Are you ready to meet up and shake hands with your own inner strength and feel the powerful vibration of love, relief, and empowerment that has never left your side? Then hop on board and share your stories with us too. Our theme for this podcast is Bloom. And Bloom's message is, stay strong through your pain, grow flowers from it. You have helped me, grow flowers out of mine. So bloom beautifully, dangerously, loudly, bloom softly, however you need. Just bloom. And the author of that is Rupi Kaur. So, here we go. We have opened up the realm of sharing. And you and I have been together for over 20 years, and we've been through a lot of stories and a lot of time to come to this point. And I believe that there is nothing that you can't do and overcome because of what you've already experienced. And I believe there's a lot of people that really want to be able to have a safe place to share. So what I'm thinking is, how about you take us back to where your story begins and how your traumatic brain injury has, well, as far as you can remember, always been a part of your life and how that happened. So how do you feel about taking us back to 1969, October?
Okay, sounds good.
So, and just feel free to just, however it unfolds for you and whatever else transpires in the middle, like, you know, we're just here to, like we always have our time to share together. This is it.
I'm going to be edited. You want to go back all the way back there?
Well, do you want to start with how you received your brain injury?
Well, when I was in a car accident, I was in a traffic accident.
Okay. And that was a day that
That was
forever
my friends,
changed,
yeah.
your life.
And
Do you want to tell us about that day? What you remember?
we were driving in a truck. There was 7 of us, and I was in the front cab. Three of us in the front cab. My friend and I got hit on our side, and he died from the same injuries I had, except for he had one more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up. I met my angels. I was in a coma for 3.5 weeks.
And when you...
When I went to the hospital
mm-hmm.
after the accident, I was left for dead. They didn't do anything. They left me on a stretcher in the hallway. I think it was the hallway. I can't.
Yeah.
I think that's what Mom said. And then they didn't do anything for me
mm-hmm.
that night. My friend had died. And they said if I woke up in the morning, that's when they'd admit me in the hospital. I was left there because there was nothing they could do for me. Nothing. I was just there. I had a lot of experiences.
They didn't expect you to live through the night?
Didn't expect me to live life. I was expected to die during the night. And because back then in the
mm-hmm.
60s, they didn't know what to do with me. No one knew what to do with me. My face was very smashed. My head was smashed. My back had been injured. Everything had been injured.
Mm-hmm.
and then I was in a coma for 3.5 weeks. I had a lot of experiences happening to me in the coma.
Do you want to share some of those experiences? Because I feel that this sharing is important on all levels. So there's a lot of times people don't understand or talk about
when you're in a coma, you can hear things. You're completely out of it, but you can hear things. You can hear everything that's going on around you.
And your mattress,
and you're not supposed to remember, but you do. But a lot of people do remember. I remembered quite a bit.
So and weren't you placed on a mattress on the floor? I was
placed on a mattress on the floor so I wouldn't hurt myself because I had a head injury.
Yeah.
I had what they call it? Scrambled brains. That was irreplaceable. You couldn't fix it. I was broken toy. I was just broken. They couldn't fix me. And then I haven't thought about this for a long time. I had an out-of-body experience. There's different things I can remember. Mm-hmm. I can remember as plain as day. Like I had an out-of-body experience. I remember going up and looking around the room. It was just me on the floor. No one else. I went out through my head. And then I met 3 people. Three angels, 3 spirits, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
I call them spirits. And then they asked me if I was ready yet, and I said no. I didn't know what I was ready for.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked me, "Are you ready?" And I said no. And said, "Marilyn, are you ready?" And I said no. And they kept asking me. So I got up. I went over to the doorway and looked down the hall, and there was just people walking around the hall.
So when you say got up, your spirit...
My spirit got up and went towards...
Do you remember about that time? I guess we should say that how old you were at the time.
A week before I was 14. I was 13.
Wow.
Yeah. I turned 14 a week after it exactly.
And so during that, at 13, you hadn't had any knowledge or upbringing about spirit or about comas or about anything that would have informed you or given you, like...
When they kept asking me, are you ready? I had no idea what they were asking me. What they were ready for what? Because I had lots of things to do, lots of places to go. I was still young yet, I thought.
So
I
you were
didn't feel
hearing
any,
this in your...
When I came out of my body, I didn't feel any pain. I felt nothing. I could think straight. I looked great. I mean, I didn't have any marks on my face. I looked great. And then when I looked down the hall, I saw people walking around, and I thought, well, I'm not ready to go anywhere. I'm going to get better. I looked at my body sitting there. I'm going to get better. And I'm going to walk in. I knew, when I went back to my body, I knew that things would be different. I would know things before they happened when I went back to my body.
And that was
50 years ago.
Wow.
50 years, that's a long time.
So during the time that you, when you left your body, did you have to sort of figure out, how do I leave my body? Like, do you have...
I came up through my head, so I went back in through my head. Cool. I remember when my dad died, I kept telling him in my mind, Dad, when you're ready, leave through your head. Don't be like me and try to stand up, because you can't.
Maybe
that was weird. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
Maybe that's why, and it's interesting, I'm just thinking, like, if you're a doctor or a nurse and you're sitting there watching a patient that's basically paralyzed and in a coma, but their body starts moving, what they call, like, that they figure you have no control.
I did that because I couldn't move. I had scrambled brains.
Right.
They call it scrambled brains, and then, this is years ago, and then they called it massive brain injury.
So in my mind, I think, oh, maybe that's a sign, like you were trying to get up before you knew how to get out of your head.
Yeah, until I was told to go through my head. And then when I went back through my head, I was told I would know things before they happened.
Who told you that?
The spirit up there told me I would know things before I did.
Do they have names?
Well, the big one's name was Malcolm, and there was two smaller ones. One was the man. One was the boy who died in the accident with me, and then there was another angel.
And the boy who died was, you had just...
Well, he was just a friend of mine from school.
Was he your, like, a boyfriend, or?
Well, we were 13 years old, yeah.
Or just...
It was, to me, then it was my boyfriend.
Feeling, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's my boyfriend. Well, it was my friend.
Yeah.
He was really my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you were just in the beginnings of, I think it was like a
friendship,
first date or something, almost.
Yeah.
So that was...
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. He
so
was my friend.
When he...
But what do you do when you're 13? Nothing. I mean, you're just friends.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Way back then, you did nothing. I don't know what to do now. That's scary.
I think maybe you had mentioned before he had kissed you the night before,
yeah.
and that was swept you away into that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. He kissed me. I felt like such a big girl. Felt like I'm ready for the world. He kissed me.
That's a big moment.
Yeah. That was the first big girl. That was the first big girl kiss. What can I say? Well, I was 13.
That's a memory that you'll always hold.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's one of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then...
that was the night before the accident.
Yeah. But I knew him from school.
Right.
Yeah.
Passing in the hallway.
Yeah. And then... you want to know what happened after?
So they told you to leave through your head? They helped you, guide you? They helped me,
Marilyn, leave through your head. That's how and I went back in through my head, and I was told I would know things before it happened. And that was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. It's funny, I can remember things way back then, but I can't remember things. I still can't remember things that just happened, but I'm getting better with what I'm doing now.
Right. So while you were in your coma, you experienced the out of body, and you experienced your guides, and the young man who died in the accident, and then I think you had mentioned that they thought even when you did come out of the coma, you would probably...
when I came out of the coma, I would never walk again. I would never speak again. When you have a brain injury, you don't speak a normal sentence.
Right.
You speak one word. It's There's stalls between each word.
Okay.
Because you got to think of each word.
Yeah.
And you've got to learn how to think again when you have a brain injury.
So just even putting the words in straight order or...
Yeah. Or sometimes talk backwards. There's so many different things with a brain injury. Your brain's really, it really does control your whole body, how you think. The biggest part was the thinking process. You really have to learn to think all again. I couldn't think right.
And who was there to even support you through that? Like, who could understand you? Or
my mother, my family was there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anybody had total amnesia.
When you woke up?
Yeah, for a long time. And then when I left...
So when you woke up from the hospital, let's say you woke up, the moment when you woke up from the coma.
I was in semi-coma for a while.
And when you looked around, can you remember?
It was
like...
You don't know who you are, you don't know where... I did not know who I was, did not know where I was. But I remembered what I did. I went out with my friends. I remembered my friends. I remembered long term.
Okay.
But I did not know...
Like you could remember images of things, but how they related to you, like in the moment?
No.
Like I picture it like...
No.
It's like you're looking through someone else's eyes. Like you don't know whose eyes you're looking through. You don't know who you are.
You don't know I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was, but I knew I had life. I had to because I was a big girl.
Yeah. And people were your parents and your sisters.
My parents got introduced to me. My family got introduced to me.
Was that really scary at the time?
I didn't know. They were complete strangers to me. When you know, your memory's completely wiped out.
Wow.
My memory was anyway.
Yeah.
And I had to be reintroduced to my family over and over again because I don't remember them. And my mom would come and stay with me till she had to go to work. And then my dad would come in the afternoon. My dad sang to me beautifully. Oh, my dad had a beautiful voice.
Mm-hmm.
And he sang to me quite often. He sang to me a lot of hymns. Can I say hymns? Yeah, he sang a lot of gospel to me.
Yeah.
But they weren't hymns to us. That was just my dad's songs.
Yeah.
And then I learned how to crawl.
Okay.
I learned how to walk. I couldn't think straight. Didn't know my asthma. I didn't know anything. I didn't know my asthma hole in the ground.
Yeah.
I was in the hospital. This happened in October. I was sent into the hospital. I was in coma for 3.5 weeks. I was sent home about a month and a half, 7 weeks later in November, before Christmas. I was sent home before Christmas.
Wow.
I was sent home to complete strangers, not knowing anybody or anything, not knowing where I lived, who I was, or anything. But I did have long-term memory. I knew how to add, subtract, numbers, and read. Interesting.
The parts of the brain that save something.
And I could remember when I was a little girl down to when I was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. And I can still remember that, just as plain as day. Okay. Yeah. And
which a lot of people can't, even without a brain injury. Like there's,
Well, I don't know how and then you want to know when I'm home now? I went home.
Well, I'm wondering about, like, you must have had a lot of injuries. You had a lot of injuries to heal from.
I was sent home to die. I was not, because they couldn't do anything else for me in the hospital. Yeah. I was sent home to die. I was supposed to die in the hospital that night. Didn't die. Full damn.
That's good.
No more. You got to edit a lot, Okay. I was sent home to die. Mm-hmm. With complete strangers. Had no idea who they were. But I know these people kept coming to the hospital to see me every day. Mm-hmm. I know them one day, but I didn't know them the next day. Wow. And when you have a brain injury like this, you're confused. Yeah. I won't say the word stupid.
Well, you might
frustrated, confused. You don't know anything about anybody. Just know that whatever it is, you're really in a lot of pain. I had terrible headaches. So
how was the healing of your body? Like, how did You had so much else going on in your body, from broken ribs to broken jaw to...
Well, I didn't have my jaw wired because I was in a coma for so long and I didn't eat. I had to eat mashed potatoes and Jell-O. I did not eat Jell-O. Jell-O was awful. And then ground up. I never got meat for a long time. Everything had to be ground up and mushy because I couldn't chew it. But my jaw wasn't wired.
So did you know why your body was in such pain?
I had no idea. No one would tell me. No one would tell me about my friend attack. No one would tell me.
So you didn't even know that you'd been in an accident? You didn't know your friend had died?
Mom said I was in an accident.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right.
You're in an accident. We can't do anything for you. Don't complain. I don't want to hear about it. That's later.
Mm-hmm.
That's later.
But those are all parts of probably many people's story, right? That when
people complain. People complain a lot about pain.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they've been in an accident, they complain. And no one wants to hear about it because no one can do anything. Mm-hmm. My family couldn't do anything. The doctors couldn't do anything. You have to suck it up, buttercup. Did you hear that one? Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, suck it up,
buttercup. Yeah.
Don't put that on there.
Don't you worry.
Suck it up.
Yeah, that's okay. That's not bad. That's a lot of people hear that in their life.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Anyway, where did we stop?
I think you brought yourself. You're the one who brought yourself.
When we went home, when I went home with strangers, my sister helped me get dressed. I was pretty used to the nurses helping me, but my sister helped me get dressed. She cried through the whole thing.
When she picked you up from the hospital?
Yeah, my dad was there and my sister was there. She cried through getting me dressed, and I could not understand why this person was crying so much getting me dressed, because the other nurses never cried when they helped me.
Oh.
And she cried, and on the way home, she cried.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot all about that.
Had you seen yourself in the mirror at all, or had you?
No, I was not allowed to look in the mirror. I was not allowed to look in the mirror because my face was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It was full of there's no stitches, but there's scars, open wounds. I had, my forehead was smashed. My whole face was just smashed. Everything.
Wow.
And then I pulled glass out of my head for a long time, for a couple of years.
Wow.
Never told that to anybody either.
Wow.
Yeah. I just, who wants to hear about it? We don't want to hear about it anymore. That's later. I shouldn't be saying this now. I should be saying that later.
No, it's okay. There's no the flow is the flow. This is how we do it.
I'm trying to stay on the flow.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because things that you're sharing, no matter what time frame, yesterday, today, before, after, these are all things that have happened to you at some point. And they're things that have happened to other people. And that's why we're doing this, because your gift and your reason for surviving is to help to be here today, sharing your story so that others don't feel alone.
I can remember when I went home, I didn't talk normal. I talked really slow. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't think of the words, and it frustrated me so much. I knew it was on the end of my tongue, tip of my tongue, but I could not remember the darn words. Or how to spell a couple of words. One word that really I could not spell is usually. Usually.
Yeah.
And I couldn't spell that, and I couldn't spell, what was the other word? There was another word. Anyway, I just, stupid little words, and I still have a problem spelling those words.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, what part of the brain did they say that was...
Oh, the right front lobe,
Okay.
this side, right front, the face, and the side. My motor skills, my memory, oh God, my movements, motor skills, and memory. And I can't remember what else.
Sorry.
The memories are bugger, you know.
You're doing awesome. I know this is not easy, and it's our first time, and we're like trying to share in the most natural way. And it's you know, this is good. This is good that we're we're just exploring, you know, being ourselves and sharing this story, because it's so important. And I know there's so many details. And there's this timeline of when this happened and when that happened and whatever.
You know, when I go home tonight, I'm thinking about this. And I said, oh shoot, I should have said this, I should have said that. I remember this. And then I'll come back to it and it'll be gone.
Yeah.
And that's how it works.
You could take notes.
I was sent home to die. I'm getting back to the flow. I was sent home to die. I didn't die. I got better. I did a lot of self-meditation. I didn't know what I was doing, but it was meditation. Find out now.
So just quickly, when you woke up and you had no idea whose eyes you were looking through, you would, at that point, you never had a memory either of your out-of-body experience, did you?
I did.
Did you?
I couldn't remember, but I couldn't tell anybody because my dad was just so... You don't talk about things like that.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Don't want to hear about it. Gee, are you... What did he call me? Are you nuts in the head? You know, oh God.
So here you are,
I'm nuts in the head.
thinking you're nuts in the head when your actions are like you're nuts in the head because you can't coordinate your voice and your sound and your
believed I was nuts in the head.
How do you? Yeah.
I knew I wasn't nuts in the head because I kept remembering the visit from the spirits.
Ah, so they kept you.
I kept remembering the visit of the spirits. And knowing that I couldn't share what I know to my family.
Wow.
It took me a long time to tell them.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to imagine, it's kind of like you're in this glass box and you can't get out of it, but it's like everybody's looking in at you, but you can't let out who you are from this.
I didn't know
like
who I was. I didn't know. When I went home, they expected Marilyn.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who Marilyn was. I knew who I was, but I did not know who Marilyn was.
Right.
We had the same name. I was one complete different person than what I was before. It's exact opposite.
Yeah. Wow, eh?
When you have a head injury, you swear a lot.
And that in the 60s, nobody would have sworn.
Oh man, my dad used to tell me that. He used to tell me, he'd go and see me and he'd say, did you go to your lesson today? And I said, no, I don't remember. He said, oh, you had to go to your manners lesson.
Manners?
I said, oh, what's my teacher's name? And so he'd say a name. And I said, what do I have to go there for? He said, so stop your dirty mouth.
Oh,
and I remember him saying that. And that was in the hospital. I never went to any manners.
That was in the hospital still?
My dad was trying to tell me I had to go through manners lessons because I was swearing too much. I wasn't a good girl.
Interesting, eh? Wow. So even the timeline, the year, the date that this happened, like, you know, all those extra pressures of how to behave properly were added on top of you just trying to figure out who the hell you were.
When you go through this, you still have to get along with your sisters. You can't swear at them. You can't give them a rough time. And you're not trying to give them a rough time.
No.
You don't see any different.
You're somebody new. You're somebody different walked into the house.
They want you to be the old person you were, and you're not that person anymore. You're a brand new person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give
like,
that
how do you be someone They tell you, why can't you be the way you used to be? Well, you don't even know who that
I
was.
still don't know. I have no idea. My mother wouldn't talk about the accident. It didn't happen. My mother thought, if it didn't happen, if you don't talk about it, it didn't happen. Like, I could remember telling me this over and over, but my sisters don't remember her telling me that.
Okay.
You know,
That
and
was
it's
just her
very
way of
frustrating.
shutting it down.
And then when she died, she kept apologizing to me for all the horrible things she said and did to me. And I couldn't figure it out. And then one day it kind of came to me what she was apologizing for. And I did forgive her. Took me a long time to forgive her. And my sister said, how could you go see Mom once a week and have fun? And I said, because I forgave her. And she said, how could you forgive her? She was horrible to you. Absolutely horrible to you. And I said, if I didn't forgive her, she would never die. And that's awful to say. That's awful to say. But she had to have forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. And so...
Don't put that in here.
So
that's not good. But that's the truth.
We were here to speak the truth.
Well, I mean, I should.
No, but the more truthful and raw and real that we are here today, the more people we're going to reach. Do you know that? Do you understand that? The more we are yourself.
What I want people to realize is they're not stupid, they're not crazy.
Yeah.
And the confusion will lift and the concentration will come back, but you have to work at it. And I did mindful meditation.
Okay, but from the time that you got home as you had your 14th birthday in the hospital then, right? You were in a coma?
Right out of it, yeah.
You were in the coma still when the birthday happened. Birthday.
All my family was there, wishing I'd get out of it.
Could you see them or sense them when you're at that time?
Hear them. When you're unconscious, you can hear.
Yeah. Could you hear them singing happy birthday? Or
I hear my dad singing all the time.
Wow.
My sister sings too, but my dad mostly sang. He sang to me every day. Every day he sang. And he quit smoking. When I was in the hospital, he quit smoking.
Wow.
When I came out, he started again. But he quit smoking. Yeah. That's a long time ago.
Yeah. Probably back in those days you could still smoke in a hospital too.
Yeah. Yeah. You can smoke anywhere.
Just walking down the doctor's office, he'd be smoking.
Oh yeah, I can remember going to the doctor's office. And my mother would be sitting there. We had to wait a long time. And she smoked about half a pack of cigarettes. Just one right after. Everybody did. It was a big cloud. Yeah.
Amazing, eh? Yeah. So
I forgot about that.
Here you are when you are just 14. When you and I met, which was like 20 years ago, you were at that point actually still needing to hold on to furniture. Like your journey of healing has been...
Both my equilibrium were knocked out. And I couldn't lift my head. I mean, when the accident, I couldn't lift my head. I couldn't do anything. You need balance for lifting your arm. You need balance for everything. When you don't have a balance, you can't do anything. Nothing. You're just a vegetable. And I was supposed to be. I'm still supposed to be a vegetable right now.
You weren't supposed to be able to have children.
Oh yeah. Well, that comes later.
Yeah, like there's so many things that it's really quite a miracle that you did live. And I believe that miracles
I went home to die.
You have a higher purpose. Is that I do believe that.
I really hope it's to help people realize that they're not alone anymore.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
And the confusion and frustration will clear up. Do you remember that time we went to the head injury? And I started asking people questions, and they were so surprised at those questions, and they all said, yeah. And they all felt relieved that I'd asked them, because no one asked those questions.
Unless you know.
And I had the answers for them.
And this has happened several times in your life, or more than several times, where you've been able to
answer questions.
Sense somebody's going through something, whether they've had a head trauma from whatever the circumstances, the fact that they've had some kind of major head trauma. Oh yeah?
Car accident, heart attack. When your heart stops, you have brain damage. Lots of stuff.
And you are able to sort of pick up on what the person is experiencing and just say some
I know what
things
they're
to
saying.
them.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of surprised, right? By
you do a lot. Your mind is wonderful. When you can expand your mind more. I did mindful meditation. I keep saying meditation, but it really helped me a lot. It really helped me a lot. I wouldn't be this good if I didn't do it. And I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So, and there was no such things as computers or anything.
And even learning that at a stage in your life. You're still trying to learn.
I'm still trying to learn.
It's okay, we all...
I forget all the time, But I'm getting better.
When you came home from the hospital and you had to experience the uncertainty of not only your life, but everybody was uncertain about everything, right?
No.
What to do.
I'm going to back you up here.
Okay.
When I came home from the hospital, taste. I had to taste everything. Butter, margarine. My mom used to buy margarine, and I could never remember what it tasted like.
Interesting.
And every time I made myself a piece of toast, I would smell it.
Oh, yeah.
And I would taste it. The taste and smell, I tasted and smelled everything before I ate it. I don't do that anymore.
Is that common? I think that's
pretty common. It's your senses. You got to get all your senses back. I couldn't smell and I couldn't. I could smell and I couldn't taste, but I didn't know what I was smelling or tasting.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had to. You were sort of in charge of retraining your own brain.
I had to retrain. When I went home from the hospital, by that time I was a 14-year-old infant. Wow. I had to learn everything over, but I knew how to read, go to the bathroom by myself. That's important. Math and arithmetic.
How soon after you got home did you have to start, like, you must have had to learn how to rehold a pencil or a pen or, like, how soon after you got home did you start?
When you're sent home to die, you don't learn, no one teaches you anything.
They just wait.
First of all, they have to see how your progress is going. I started walking more. I could walk by myself. I walked along furniture because my balance wasn't very good. I've walked along furniture for years.
Did you have pain medication during those times to help you? What did
we
they
couldn't
do
afford
for
them.
you?
We couldn't afford them. Wow. We couldn't afford anything. We couldn't afford anything. We were broke. And it wasn't like we didn't have any money. We had nothing. Something I want to say earlier. What did you say earlier?
About coming home and having to learn, like, when did you, like, just to hold a pencil or how
when you're sent home to die. Oh, yeah. I had to learn how to walk, how to speak. My speech did get better. And then when I went back to the doctors in March, after I had another EEG, I had done this all myself. I had gotten myself better. No one else was going to do anything for me because they expected me to die. And I was not wonderful to live with. And that's got to do with the head injury.
Yeah.
I went back to the doctor and he told my mom, I was in grade 9, I was better. I was going to go back to school. So I went back to school for half days, every other day.
That's
in
amazing.
April. I had a really hard time understanding and getting along and remembering. I could not remember. I had a really hard time understanding and getting along with people. They thought I was the old Marilyn. But I wasn't. They wanted me to be the old Marilyn. I had no idea who the old Marilyn was. And I tried really hard. And then in end of April, I went into the school and I said, I want to quit school. And the teacher said, the principal said, you can't go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, you don't have to come if you don't want, but you're still going to grade 10 next year. And I'm pretty stupid. I said, I don't want to go to grade 10 because I never went to grade 9.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, they have to pass everybody every year. And I said, I don't know anything. Why would I go to grade 9 if I didn't know anything?
Yeah. Grade 10.
And grade 10, if I didn't know anything. And he says, well, no, we're going to put you to the high school. And I says, no, you can't do that. I don't know anything. Mm-hmm. I will come back. I walked out of his office. I said, I'll be back here in September, ready to start a whole year off,
Mm-hmm.
better than I am now.
Okay.
And I went back in September. I thought I was wonderful. I thought I was doing really well. I could hold a pencil. I didn't have much of a memory. I had to be introduced to everybody, which I knew them for years because they were kids I went to school with.
Yeah.
And then I did okay. I did pass. Not very much, but I did pass. They put me in grade 10 the next year. And the next year, I had a really hard time coping. It was 2 years after the accident. And I had gone to the teachers and I said, I'm really having a hard time. I'm having a brain injury. I had a brain injury. And back then, it's nothing. It's just a scrape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they know what a brain injury is now. And I should not have gone back to school 6 months or 7 months after.
It's crazy.
It happened to me. I went back. I lost my train of thought.
Just sort of about the progress of going back to school and how that
in grade
happened.
9, it was better. I had a lot of fun. I went to school every day. I went to grade 10. Oh, to grade 10. I had to quit grade 10 because I just couldn't do in grade 10.
Mm-hmm.
Went back for grade 10 again. I got half my grade 10. And went back for...
And during this time, your body is still healing. Like you are still trying to figure out.
My memory's gone. I'm trying really hard. I'm walking.
And you have pain.
I'm talking. Oh yeah, the pain. When I was at home, my mother would say, can I swear?
Mm-hmm.
Stop your bitching and complaining. All you do is bitch and complain. I don't want to hear about it. Your accident didn't happen. If you don't think about it, it didn't happen. I don't want to hear about it again. So I stopped talking about it.
Jeez.
My parents came back to me 25 years later and said, we thought you were okay and never talked about it. And I said, are you kidding? Every time I talked about it, Dad and Mom told me to shut up.
Yeah.
And Dad said, no, she didn't. I said, oh yeah, she did. And you know, that was, I couldn't go back there.
And then in a sense, when we look at the trajectory of our lives, and we've sort of touched on this throughout the years, if any one thing had been different, you gained your strength.
Through this. Yeah. I don't know any different. This is all I know. I'm by myself. I like to be by myself.
Mm-hmm.
We live in the boonies.
Mm-hmm.
Really like it. If one of us are alone, one of us are going to have to move back to town.
Mm-hmm.
But we would not go back to the big city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you've made the decision, I think part of the decision to keep your story to yourself for so long also had to do with coming over that.
I wasn't supposed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Who was I going to tell? No one's going to believe me.
Yeah.
So, and now, since 2000, things got much better.
Mm-hmm.
So I started talking about it.
And, I want to be able to, there's so much, like we've touched on a lot of things, but I'm hoping that you're going to be comfortable and we're going to continue to meet and to share this again and again.
Well, I have lots to say.
Yeah. And
there's lots of people out there thinking that they're alone. This didn't happen to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But it did. And it is, you can fix yourself.
You can. And, even when the going is so tough where nobody believes you.
You keep it to yourself, and then you work even harder. And then when you're better, you can tell them off. Or you can forgive them, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Well, forgiveness is a powerful thing, and I think in terms of also being able to just feel that forgiveness for yourself, because there was a lot of blame that you felt, right? You felt a lot of blame that it was your fault, like you had nothing to do with it.
I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember a lot of things, but
Mm-hmm.
things some people say, did I know I didn't do?
Mm-hmm. So, your spirit guides have been with you and the young man who passed to this day?
He's with me still, yeah.
That's
He's still
very
with
cool.
me. Mm.
That's very cool. And those are the things that people feel nowadays. It's easier, I think, for people to talk about it because there are more people talking about it. The understanding of that we're energy beings and we never technically die. We continue on in that energetic form until whenever happens, if we come back again or we go somewhere else. But that form of energy that has always stayed by your side, like, were there times that you just would speak to them and
Oh, I speak to them all the time. All the time.
Mm-hmm.
I do it through my mind, through my meditation, not verbally.
Right.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
And they've given you the strength and the knowledge that you...
You ask a question and you will get the answer.
Ah.
I see things before they happen.
Mm-hmm.
I know things before they happen. And sometimes I just let it go and then I thought, oh shit, I should listen to myself. Yeah. It happens a lot, believe me.
Knowing and doing
you know what?
sometimes
I still
two
swear a
different
lot,
things.
so. It's awful. My mother's going to be washed out with soap one day.
I think what we'd like to do is also...
you want to know about how my mind goes.
Mm-hmm.
When I know things, when I do readings, this is, wow, right now, my butt's getting sore.
Yeah, we're coming to the close of our first episode here, our first sharing, and I think what we want to do at this point is, I love that we've just kind of gone and touched on all these different points, and there'll be lots of cool stuff to continue, talking about and sharing and inviting others to leave comments. And I would like to invite people to come to our Facebook page, The Space Between Time. And because this is the space between time, this is between your accident and where we go with this and the elevated experience that people will have from sharing. And we're going to invite people to come to our YouTube page, The Space Between Time, our Facebook page, The Space Between Time, and we will have this video up, and we will have give people the opportunity to also share their stories too. We want to invite other people to join us and to share, and for that community to grow, because the more people, and I'm a great believer in that the sharing is about elevating this journey, our consciousness, right? We're in, our life is here to elevate the conscious part of who we are. Do you see somebody over there? Who's there?
The man.
Malcolm?
No,
Oh, the man from here.
The man from this house, yeah.
Is he happy we're
here?
Yeah.
You think it's about time.
Wow. Mm. I just got like this
right behind you, that's fine. Yeah.
Whenever you have introduced spirit to me in the room, when they've come up and shown something, I get waves of, look, it's even on my cheeks. My legs are on fire, my cheeks are on fire. Whew, awesome.
Are you cold over there? Yeah.
I'm happy that he's happy. We're
cold right here.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it was like
that's okay. Because he's looking at your thing.
Well,
He's telling you to do a good job. He's telling you to do a good job. He wants this out.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want him to stay here. I don't want him to follow me home.
Okay, well,
Yeah, well,
this is
I'll
his
do
home.
that. I'll do that in my mind. Yeah.
Super cool.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
But he's been he's been
Wow.
here the whole time bugging me, right? I'm freezing. I was not cold before. I mean, and he's
Super
telling you to do a
cool.
good job because he wants us out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Susie said that, I just got like
Yeah.
goosebumps.
Yeah.
Pull them out, and I'm like,
He's letting you know that he's still here.
yeah. Freezing.
Yeah.
Wow. That was.
Or
very
did we say what you wanted to hear?
Well,
Because
did
I've got lots more.
Yeah.